All right, welcome to the second page of lesson 1.2 on order of operations for Math 1. And as we're looking at this, how important is it to follow the steps of a recipe in order? So if you're going to bake a cake, could you just choose to do the steps in any order that you want? No, probably not. You probably have a big old mess, right? And so order matters in a lot of things, and the same thing with mathematics. Like as we talked about on that last problem on the previous page, we got two different answers if we did them in different orders. So we have to establish a specific order of operations for doing mathematics. And this is something that was developed over time. Mathematicians like Descartes and a few others, they started saying, hey, we need to have an order here. And over like hundreds of years, mathematicians finally settled on a specific order in which to do problems so that people got consistent answers. And this is the order that they came up with. If you want something done first, you put it in parentheses. So parentheses, anything in there, if you can simplify it, you do that first. You make it one value inside the parentheses. Then if there are any exponents, you do those. Then you do multiplication and division. Notice these aren't separate steps. It's not multiplication and then division. They're put together because you're going to do it from left to right. So if multiplication appears first as you go left to right, you do multiplication. If division appears first from left to right, you do division. So it's not multiplication then division, it's which one of these happens first as you go left to right. And then addition, subtraction, I recommend that you do the same. You don't necessarily have to, but I see a lot of mistakes when people don't. And I'll see if I can point out a type of mistake as we go through these problems. But let's go ahead and do these practice problems together. We're going to work through a few of them, and then at some point I'm going to have you just start working them on your own and then checking your answers with the video. So let's start with our first problem here. So parentheses, is there parentheses? Yes. Is there something to do in here? Yes, we can simplify this. So 6 minus 5, that's a war. And so as we subtract that, we get 1. Usually if something's in parentheses, when I simplify it, I leave it there. I don't actually have to in this case because the next step is just subtraction. 2 minus 1 is 1. And that would be our answer. Now, is it correct? I strongly recommend checking our answers on a calculator. So I'm trying to find a good spot for this so we can see. So 2, and then I have to use this minus key here because that is subtraction. Parentheses, 6 minus 5. So in each case, I use the long subtraction because these are actual subtraction problems. So that looks just like my problem, and when I hit enter, I get the same answer that we got here. So we did that one right. Let's go to the next one. There are no parentheses here, so we skip that. We go to exponents. Yes, there is an exponent, 2 squared. So what does 2 squared mean? It means you take this base and you multiply it that many times. So it's 2 times 2, which is 4. And you don't have to do this expanding. You could jump right to this, but I do recommend doing the expanding just because a reminder that this is telling us how many times we have that base. And then it's just an alliance of positives. 4 plus 6 gives us 10. And once again, you can check that on the calculator. I'm not going to make you watch me put in the stuff on the calculator each time. All right, for the next problem, looking here, we have multiplication and subtraction. And so order of operations says multiplication comes before subtraction. So we'll do that first. 4 times 2 is 8. And we have 8 minus 1. Sorry, my walkie-talkie was going off. I had to turn that down a little bit. Okay, then we just have a war. 8 minus 1, that is 7. That winds up being our answer. And then we'll go to number 4 as well. Here we do have parentheses. There is something to do inside of it. And so we will simplify 4 minus 2. That is a war. Positives win. Once again, in this case, you could either keep the parentheses or not. Since we already have a division symbol here letting us know what we're doing, we don't necessarily have to keep it. 10 divided by 2 is 5. But if you're ever not sure whether to keep the parentheses or not, just keep it. It won't change anything. And so if you're uncertain, you can just leave it there. All right, I think from here I would recommend go ahead and start working the problem. So I'd pause the video, work a problem, then check the answer. Then pause the video again, work the next problem, then play the video to check the answer. And just continue that through this problem set. So I'm going to go ahead and continue working the problem. So hopefully you've paused in order, you've worked this one. So I'm going to continue. We're going to start with the parentheses in here. 4 minus 2 is 2. I did leave the parentheses here because now we have this 2 squared, which is just 2 times 2. So our answer is 4. With this one here, I see we do have some division and addition. So division comes first. 16 divided by 4 would give us a 4. And then the 4 plus 6 is 10. For the next one here, we do have a 2 squared and we have a multiplication here. Well, exponents happen first. So this would be 5 times, and then this is 2 times 2, right? And I decided to use the parentheses instead of a dot for the multiplication here, but that's going to be a 4. Right, so this 2 squared winds up being a 4, and then 5 times 4 is 20. And then for our last one here, we'll do what's inside the parentheses, the 5 plus 3, that gives us an 8. So we still have an 8 times 2. Once again, I didn't have to keep the parentheses because there's a multiplication symbol, but if this 2 is right next to the parenthesis, I would have kept it on the 8. That gives you a 16. All right, that is the end of the second video. This is page 2. So please continue on to page 3.